Welcome to Oaks and Dreams. My name is Mallory, in case we haven't met, and today we're going to be talking about the seedlings behind me. We are going to go through the seedlings. It has been 1 month since we put these seeds into the dirt. I'm going to give you an update. I'm going to show you what I've done thus far to create them as beautiful as they are right now, and also to talk about what I plan on doing to getting them ready to get into the garden for springtime. So come along with me as we go through this process. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy this content, as it encourages me to create more. So to get started, we're going to talk about the tomatoes first, because those are the ones I kind of should have waited to plant a few weeks. They grew faster than the peppers, and I'm going to kind of show you where we are with those. So here is one of my tomato plants. Let's find you one here. Kind of show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is one of the tomato plants. This is the San Marzano. So we planted this on January 5th along with all the other seeds that you see here. And you can see how overall the tomato plant has grown a little higher and larger than my pepper plants. They grow a little faster, and that's okay. But as you can also see, some of my bottom leaves are starting to turn a little yellow. It just shows that they need more nitrogen and that I need to fertilize them. If there's anything else that you see when you see plants like this that could give me suggestions on what I could do to help them grow better, please let me know in the comments. So we will be fertilizing this today. I will use a fish fertilizer to help with that. Just really dilute it with the water when I go to water this plant. As we're talking about watering, so when I have seedlings and starter plants like you see here, I would rather keep their soil a little more moist than on the dry side. Anytime I let their soil dry out, I interrupt the growing process and I can force the seedling to die. As you can see, the Everglade tomatoes that I have here, these were in pots that were dried out more than my San Marzano tomatoes. We planted these on the same day. I used the same soil. The issue was I let these dry out and I did not let these dry out. There's an obvious difference in the change. I can hopefully still save this. I've transplanted it into a larger cup. I'm not going to fertilize it just yet because it's on the smaller side, but hopefully I will save that one. If not, it looks like I will be growing more San Marzano tomatoes, which is okay. All right, so those are the tomatoes. Let's put this back. This, by the way, is an Everglade tomato. They are native to Florida, South Florida, and the Everglades. They're small, kind of grape cherry tomatoes. I grew these last year. They actually did really well. One, because they love the hot, humid climate. So when you're talking the July, August heat, they do well. So I typically like to grow these in the garden just so if I get to the point where I feel like there's not much growing in my garden, I can still pluck some tomatoes off. So those are those. Oops, sorry, buddy. So moving on to these larger ones that you kind of see behind me, these are the tomatillas. Tomatillas are great in salsa. They are part of the tomato family, but I just learned this year that tomatillos cannot be grown next to tomatoes. So last year I grew my tomatoes and my tomatillos right next to each other. I thought, they're the same family, why can't they grow next to each other? But they actually steal each other's nutrients, so don't grow these together. So I will have them separate in my garden this year. Tomatillas, they are a viney plant. You can see it's beautiful. These grow really well. They also love the heat, the hot humidity. So I am looking forward to some tomatillas. They have like for those of you who've never ate a tomatilla, they look similar to a tomato. They are green in color. They have an outer dry skin that you peel back, and then the flesh itself is a little sticky. You just kind of clean it off, and then Inside, it's a comparison to a tomato as well as like a cucumber type of texture. But it is great in salsa to make like verde sauce, different things like that. So these are all tomatillos. All right, so then moving on. So in the back, if you look at my how to grow a fig tree video, I can post it down here as well as in the comments in the description. You will see in the back, I have a couple fig trees. I showed you how to propagate those. We don't have leaves on them just yet, but they are growing strong and I'm excited to see them grow. I hope to be able to put one of the fig trees in my front yard as well as give my other one away. All right, so moving on. We've talked about the everglade tomatoes, the tomatillos. So these are my peppers. I can show you some of the Craig's jalapeno peppers. So that is what you see back here, as well as what is right here. I don't know if these are on screen or not. This is a smaller one. This is a little bit larger one. But these are the same Craig's jalapenos. Just so you can see the variation with seeds when they talk about picking out the best seeds from the best jalapeno that you have from the previous season, how they can change. So I transplanted these into the larger cups last week. They started off in trays just like this. If you look back at my previous video, which I will place here, and then down in the description, you will see how I started pretty much majority of my seeds in trays like this, and then I transplanted them into larger cups. So this is the process here. Last week I transplanted the jalapenos, and I will need to transplant these as well within the next couple of days. What is left in these are my cayenne peppers and my sweet bell peppers. So the benefits that I like when it comes to growing our seeds in smaller trays and then transplanting them is, sorry, my dog was barking. Okay, so back where we were. So to talk about why I want to plant my seeds in smaller trays and then transplant them later is because I simply do not have a lot of space. So I typically grow my seeds in the smaller trays, see which ones propagate the best, which ones grow the best. Propagate's probably not the best word. See which ones grow the best, and then those are the ones that I transplant out and I get to see. So as you can see here, my sweet bell peppers are a great example. I planted a seed in each one of these little pods, and I did not get any to germinate here, as well as I think one right here. So I saved myself quite a bit of space by starting them here and then transplanting them out to the solo cups. So I will be able to go through and pick the hardy ones, the ones that I like the best, and I can either throw away the rest or give them off to somebody else, I don't know. All right, so like you can see here, so these are my cayenne peppers. So again, some of the little pods didn't germinate at all, and that just saved me from having seeds in an empty solo cup. But as you can see, like this one here in the bottom, he just decided not to grow that well. So all these other beautiful ones, they grew really well, and I will happily transplant them into solo cups. I might save this little one and see if he will grow larger once I get rid of these other ones into solo cups, once maybe he just needs the space. But if not, he can go into my compost pile, and I have these beautiful cayenne pepper plants to work with. All right, so moving on down here to my second floor, we have some marigolds that I threw in, and they are growing beautifully. These will grow next to my tomato plants to help ward off some of the bugs. And these are some little basil plants. I've kind of been going through and thinning out the ones that I don't want, letting the larger ones grow through. I'm hoping to get a few larger basil plants by the time it comes to grow the tomatoes outside. And I will plant those next to the tomatoes as well. as well. So these are a couple of my cherry pepper plants. This is my first year growing cherry peppers. Super excited about that. So with the cherry peppers, these were the first pepper plants that I transferred into the solo cups. They are doing wonderful. I'm excited to have these. I think I have 5 of these. They are all pretty much growing strong. I started them on a tray where there was 12 seeds and I have 5 good plants. So that just helps me, again, with the smaller seed trays to weed out the ones I don't want, weed out the ones that don't germinate, and save my space as much as possible. So there are the cherry peppers, and those are growing great. I know you can't see down here, but I have 2 rows. They're set up the same. I have my grow lights. I did add my grow lights from last year because I felt like as I got the solo cups going on, there were some spots that I wasn't hitting like I wanted to. So I did add these. You don't have to. Then I have down here another tray of onion seeds that I threw in some dirt. So I've been as well thinning these out. They need to be thinned yet again. Oops. Well, that one's no longer any good. Yes, sir. So with these, I'm trying my best to make my own sets this year. Onions I grew last year. I grew them out in the garden just like this with seeds, and I thinned them out, and I didn't understand quite why I wasn't getting a full onion. Only to come out and find, once I did my research, that you start off with the onion set. So it's more like a 2-year onion. So that first year you get that small bulb, which they call an onion set. And then the second year you can grow a large onion. So I'm hoping to grow my own onion sets this year. So then I can create onions the following years. It's kind of like a 2-year process. However, in my garden this past week, I did put in the dirt some onion sets. So we can go out into the garden here in a little while, and I will show you what I have already placed out into my garden. Keep in mind, today is February 6th. Our last frost date where I am at is February 26th. So what I'm getting ready for is that spring garden, is that summer garden, what I can get out there now to get growing, and so I can have a flourishing summer in the garden. So I will take you through here and show you how I transplant my pepper plants into a larger solo cup. So we can, because we still have some room to transplant some of these out. So let me grab my things and I will be right back. Okay, so I did want to also point out that once I get to the point of transplanting my seedlings into a solo cup and they've gotten large enough, I do start to put an oscillating fan on them, at least for a few hours a day. It does help for them to grow a little bit stronger. So as you can see, some of them will occasionally get a little leggy. You can see kind of the curve on that one. As that starts to occur, they just need to be stronger. So allowing a fan to kind of mimic that air that they will receive outside and that movement, it'll help their stem to grow that much stronger. All right, so to transplant to a solo cup. So in my previous video, we talked about starting the seeds and what I did to start them in here, but now we are ready to start them into a larger cup. So I have my seedlings. We're gonna do the cayenne peppers right now. And then I just have a bowl of dirt. In the dirt, it is a little bit more like the soil that they're gonna have outside. It's just more like a potting mix. There is a fertilizer in the potting mix, as well as I continued to add I always say it wrong, the vermiculite to hold in the moisture, because again, as seedlings, we don't want their soil to dry out. We want them to stay moist, not so moist that they start to grow mold on the soil. As you can see, some of them that I showed you a minute ago, there is a little bit of like white mold on the top, and that's just showing me that I'm just keeping it, the mildew, I'm keeping it too wet in there, so I need to back off a little bit on some of the water. But I do not want them to dry out. All right, and then onto our solo cups. So I've already pre-punched these, but you can see there are some nice holes in these. I wanted there to be a lot of good drainage. So you want to make sure that they're on one of your plastic water catchers, whatever you use to collect the water, that they can drain out any extra moisture. So you want to keep the soil wet, but you want to keep it drainable. All right, so I have several of these cups. And then I have one that does not have holes in it. That's gonna be kind of my scooper. And then I have some tags to write them. I am famous for putting a plant to the side and oh, I will remember what plant that is. I always forget. 95% of the time, I forget what plant. Even if I told myself I will not forget what plant I planted there, I forget. And I end up waiting, especially when they're seedlings and they kind of look very similar, until they grow large enough. And well, that was cabbage and not Brussels sprouts. So we will find out. All right, so moving on. So we are just going to grab some dirt. I put it in here so I can keep the outsides kind of just cleaner. And then this piece came with my seedling trays that I bought. It really comes in handy with creating the holes as well as pulling the seeds out of the trays, especially so you can like kind of keep them. These trays don't really pop on the bottom, they're plastic, so this helps to get them out. I go ahead and pre-make my little hole, just like that. Oops. And then we will start with, we'll do this one here on the corner. I just kind of take the forky end here, kind of dig it down in there, and then I slowly start, let's see if I can do it with one hand so you can see. I kind of go on all four sides, loosen up the dirt a little bit, but try my best to not disrupt the seeds, and then I can kind of leverage it up. Hanging on to the stem of the plant, and it comes up. All right, and then I will simply place it into my mix. Little guy. And there we go. I am not going to worry about taking away the old soil and getting out those roots to a looser ball. I'm simply transplanting them into a new home, and I want them to continue growing the way that they were. So now that I've transplanted him, tomorrow, even the next couple of days, I expect him to be a little sad. He may not need as much grow lights. I might even turn one of the grow lights off just for the day to kind of let him recoup and welcome him to his new home before I expect him to start growing again. I'm gonna try to not put the wind on him from the fan right away. Give him a day or two to acclimate to the new home. All right, so we will place him. And now you will just continue to see me do the process over and over until my cayenne peppers are empty from my tray. I expect this guy will do even better than his potential mate here for the sheer fact that when I was able to pull him out from the tray, it was a clean pull. Where this little guy struggled a little bit, I probably took some of his roots. He might take a couple days to bounce back more than this little guy will. They will still grow into beautiful plants. I can already see the little guy that I pulled some of his roots from. He's kind of drooping a little bit. Beautifully. So I expect he will do well. His roots are nicely established. If I didn't say this before, the soil that I am using, it is wet. So I am not worried about watering these right away. they will get some moisture from here and I can water them in the next day or so. You can see I'm being as careful as I can. I'm playing with dirt in my house, but I'm the adult of this house, so that's okay, right? Okay. He is a beauty. Oh my goodness. So beautiful. Oops, and then he lost one of his leaves. That's okay. He needs a little bit more dirt to back into things. Okay, I am out of dirt. Looks like we have 3 plants that I'm going to grow. I grew the ones that I thought looked the best. We still have 4 left. This is the one we were talking about earlier, that little tiny one. I'm debating yet if I'm gonna keep him or not. And let me go grab a little bit more dirt because I do want to plant these 3. These are very pretty plants. I'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. And I have more dirt for the rest of these plants. So the benefit that I've also found growing in a smaller seedling tray and then transferring over to a solo cup is I have the opportunity to let the seedlings get exposed to a stronger type of soil before transplanting them into the garden. You've probably heard the term hardening off as you get them ready to go outside. And I believe that as far as hardening off goes, there's also a part of it that is important, hardening off when it comes to the soil. If you place them in very delicate soil throughout their seedling life and then you go and transplant them into the garden outside and the soil is a lot stronger, the fertilizer's a lot stronger, that could also affect the growth of the plant. So changing them from a seedling tray to a solo cup and changing up the soil as I do that. This is a little bit different soil than what I started these with. If you would like to know what I started these with, you can head on back to that previous video that I can put into my comments. I can put it right here too. And that will help you to see how I'm changing over the soil. So again, this is a potting mix. It does have some fertilizer in it. I'm still adding that vermiculite to hold in the moisture, but that's where we're at. So it's a little bit stronger than the soil that they have in here. All right, so where's my previous cup? Oh no! I planted this one into the cup that did not have holes. What a goober. Okay, that's okay. We can fix it. Oh goodness. Maybe I should have had a different color cup. See if I can fix this. I tell you what, I will just poke holes in the bottom of this cup and we will start where we are at. That is fine. Okay, moving on. Ooh. The soil at the bottom of this is pretty wet. I don't think that was supposed to happen. But we can still save him. Maybe that's why he's not quite as big as his counterparts. He's still cute though. So the older the seeds that you have, their chance of germinating and becoming a successful plant goes down. So the older seeds that you have, you might just want to try to germinate more of them so you can hopefully get a good crop going as big as you want them to be. So we are finished with the cayenne peppers. So there was 12 seeds in here. Looks like I ended up looks like I ended up with 8 plants out of the 12. So that's a success. So that is a success for me. This one, I'm gonna go ahead and let him go to compost. He's a little guy. I have 8 beautiful plants. I'm gonna go ahead and keep those. This is fine. I'd rather save the space that I have on my grow light area for other plants, because 8 cayenne pepper plants is plenty. I will probably end up giving some away to friends. Okay, so I'm just going to pick up my mess and we will label my plants and stick them back on the grow lights. Pepper plants tend to all look the same until you get that pepper on them. And even then, some of the peppers look kind of like a mystery until they're really ripe. You might wonder if they are gonna turn into a bell pepper or if they're gonna turn into just a banana pepper. So you kind of want to make sure that they are labeled to not get them confused. I go through so many tags. The heat of the summer really dries out these plastic tags and they crack and break. If you have any better way of making sure your crop is named, please put in the comments below what I can do so I don't have to keep buying all of these tags. I try to convince my husband. He recently had a 3D printer for a short time, and I was trying to think of things that he could make on the 3D printer, and I said, why can't you make me some garden tags? However, he was having enough struggles with that 3D printer that he decided he didn't even want the 3D printer. So I did not get my garden tags, which is fine. That hobby was not for him, but after years of thinking about it being for him, I'm glad that he at least got to experience it and decide that it wasn't for him. All right, let's place these on our under our grow lights. You can kind of see, look, they are starting to look sad. That's okay, we'll perk back up. Some of them look good. They just have that strong roots. They're just gonna be great plants. That's okay. All right, let's see. Okay, so I just wanted to see what it looks like. Now all of the cayenne peppers are in there. I'll probably go ahead and turn off this extra light here for the day because they really don't need them. So we still have, oops, we got that turned around because I double use my labels. That's the sweet bell peppers. We still have to transplant those into our solo cups. As you can see, my space is getting very limited. So there's my onion sets. There's my cherry peppers, marigolds, and my tomatoes are in the back. And that is the inside seedlings that I have growing. Let me take you guys outside, show you what I planted thus far already in the garden, direct sowed without starting seedlings.
So I took this video about an hour after I finished filming, and I just wanted to show you what our cayenne pepper plants look like. Majority of them are drooped over. They are so pitiful. When you go to touch these plants, the leaves are very thin feeling. They are just beside themselves. They don't know what to do. But we will give them a day or two. I'm going to minimize the grow lights. I'm not going to worry about watering them or fertilizing them. They have enough water in their wet soil that I have just given them, and I'm just going to leave them be. We will check back in a couple days and see where they are at. Okay, so we are out in the garden, and I'm just going to show you what I have growing in the garden. It's not very much. Again, these are brand new raised garden beds that I just placed this year. So we're going to add as we grow. So here we have a couple cabbage plants. I threw those in pretty early on. I did start these from seeds and I threw them in. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to be able to get some cabbage out of these before they get too hot. But we will see. If I get some, great. And then over here, in one of my videos, the beginning of January, you saw me throw in some seeds for broccoli, arugula, kale, collards. I did, after throwing the seeds down, realize that kale and collards cannot grow together. Again, they're from that same family. They steal each other's nutrients. But I do have some spinach leaves growing down here, little tiny ones. We will see if I can actually get some spinach before it gets too hot. So again, these seeds were thrown in the dirt about a month ago. All right, and then coming over here, so as you can see, coming up is garlic. I hope I didn't wait too long for garlic. In my area, ideally you grow garlic starting in October. You throw the bulbs down. I threw these down again the beginning of January. Hopefully they're getting enough cold weather that they will still give me a garlic head, but we will see. You can grow some spring garlic, so. And these little baby ones, there's my carrots. They are this entire bed. I don't know if you can see them. I threw these down the beginning of January. I need to go through and thin these out. They are too close together. I'm letting them grow a little bit more, and then I'll go in and take them out. I want those roots to be a little bit stronger before I start pulling on the dirt around them. But there's those, and that is in that bed. Coming over here, we have onion sets. So these are the onion sets that I was talking about earlier. I threw these into the ground. I keep mine exposed. They do say to throw them like 2 to 3 inches into the ground, but I want the onion to be on top of the dirt and not necessarily in the dirt. If you've ever learned about like the spooning method to keep the dirt away from the onion, the roots are in the ground. That's what matters. But this bed is a bunch of onions. Those are 2 onion sets that I grew last year. I threw those in the dirt inside in my grow lights. They started to already grow. I just put these out here probably 3-4 days ago. We're gonna see what they do. But like we talked about earlier inside, the onion seeds, this is 1 year after, and this is me replanting that onion seed that turned into a set. All right, and so that is those. Coming over here, I threw corn seeds down. So I threw corn in here again about 3 or 4 days ago when I put the 2 onion sets in there that are growing. Corn can be planted direct sown before your last frost when it's near the spring last frost date. So I think we're gonna be okay with these, and I'm hoping to get some corn. In front of the corn, I will plant some bean seeds once they gets a little warmer outside. This is an empty bed. This will be my tomatoes. Over here is going to be, or is, potatoes. There's not much growing here yet. If you have not thought already, there's some potatoes. put some potatoes in the ground because this is the time of year for that. But you can see them kind of peeking through. But this is the bedded tomatoes. I thought I was gonna have some slips for some sweet potatoes, but it doesn't look like I'm going to. I wanted to grow them myself. So I went ahead and just threw in some more potatoes since I don't think I'm gonna have any sweet potatoes. But I was hoping to grow some sweet potatoes in this bed, but there's always next season. Thank you for stopping in and catching the 1 month update of my seeds. I've enjoyed this time spending with you. Please come back and see my future videos. If you are enjoying this content, please make sure to like and subscribe, add a comment. It helps me and encourages me to continue on with these videos. Thank you.